Hey everybody, and welcome to Age's Cozy Crochet Corner, where today we are doing little people sweaters. So I have a size 4 sweater and a size 5 sweater, and I was working on sweaters for my girls, and I thought, why not, join in and make sweaters with you guys, because I had so much fun that I wanted to make some more. So I have one size 4, and you see you can do it with buttons or without buttons. It is totally your choice. I decided to do this one with buttons. This is one of them. And I did run this pattern through myself. Let's see. I took a base color and I found the little colorful colors and I just added them in, and as I went along wherever I felt like placing them. So that was quite fun. If you would like for me to show you guys how to do that, please let me know in the comment section. I think this one is super fun because my daughter, she's so into colors, so she wanted colors, so I said I'm gonna give you colors. And she picked out her buttons, so she wanted a little star button in there, so I made sure I gave her a little star button. But these sweaters were so much fun. I wanted to join in with me, but this type of style with the weave in of the different colors I will not be doing. So let me show you this one. This one is one of my favorites. It is absolutely so cute. Any minute, let me straighten it out. This one is so cute. It's one of my favorites. I just decided to go straight rainbow with this one. And this is going to be like the one we're going to do today. Although this one is a 5T. On camera, we're going to work the 4T. And for the borders, I kept the border in the light color that we ended. So this border is like blue and the arms border is blue. And I actually went and ran the border up in the color in which was next to it. So I really enjoyed this one, but I'm going to do a simpler one as far as the border to just keep it one color. But I hope you guys enjoy, and let's make some little people sweaters together. Like, so much fun. So I'm going to be using medium 4 yarn for this project, so that's the only thing that you'll need. To make a 5T, it only took me 1.5 of these, and it's 285 yards in this. So I'm pretty much making this one with scrap yarn, and also your whatever you're going to use for your borders. If it's the same color, then you'll use 2 of these completely. If it's not, then you'll just need 1 skein of whatever so you can put your border on. I'm using a rainbow of color, and I'm working out of my yarn stash, all my scrap yarns. So I kind of got a different color palette. So all of these color names I will try to put in the description box if I have them, and I will list them in order from the blue all the way to the purple. I don't know, the lavender I think will be the last color we do. I'll see how I fit that in, but I'll list them in order of the colors, what the names of these colors and the brands are, because these are all different brands. As you see, this one is Impeccable yarn, and this one is Caron 1 pound. This is Caron 1 pound, Caron 1 pound, and everything else is a mixture of different yarns between Red Heart and Impeccable yarn. But again, so that's all we need. We also wanted to have our scissors. We're going to be working with a 4.5 millimeter hook, and we'll need our yarn needle so we can weave in our ends at the end. All right, so I'm going to get all of these out of here, and we're going to start with our blue. Okay, and I also don't want to forget the buttons. So we'll be using buttons. I'm using 1-inch wooden buttons on mine, since I have all these pretty colors, want to blend them together nicely with this color. And I'll probably be using this one right here. I do believe this is buff, and I'll be using this for my borders to kind of tie everything in. So buttons, and if you're going to use a different color on your borders, you want to make sure you have your color for your borders. Okay, so I'm going to put up the numbers for the 4T and the 5T, whichever one you decide to make. Today, I'll be making the 4T for camera. Okay, so for 4T, we have to chain 80. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 77, 78, 79, and 80. Okay, so once you have chained your 80, you want to put one more chain on the hook, okay? And that's for both sizes. Now I'm going to yarn over the chain that last chain I just created. We're going to skip that one, and we're going to go into the next one, okay? So we skip one and we go into the next one, and now we're going to go all the way down this line making half doubles, and at the end of it we should have 80 half doubles. And in case you haven't made half doubles before, I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. I'm going to yarn over. We're going to go in the next chain on our hook. We're going to go in, grab our yarn, and pull back through the hole. We have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to take off all 3 loops. Make sure you grab your yarn and come on through. So again, yarn over. We're going to go in that next loop, grab our yarn, and come back up. We have our 3 loops on our hook. Going to grab some more yarn and come all through all 3. Okay, so we're going to go all the way to the end, and I'll meet you back at the end, and we'll move on to row 2. Okay, so I have gone down my first row, and I have 80 half doubles. So when I get to the end of my first row, and every row from here on out, I want to chain 1 and turn my work. That chain 1 is not going to count for your first stitch. It's going to help you keep a straight line. It's going to help your edges look straight. So I'm going to yarn over, and into that first half double, I want to place another half double. And then we'll keep placing our half doubles all the way down till we come to the end. Okay, and we're putting our half doubles right here at the top, right through there. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way to the end and place my half doubles, and I'll meet you back at the end of row 2. Okay, so I've gone almost to the end. I have one more stitch, and I just want to make sure we do not miss this stitch when we're working. This is where we first turned off, and it was the first half double we did. We want to make sure we go into that. Okay, and then we will chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. Now all of our rows will be made exactly like this. If we're starting with 80, it's going to be 80 for the course of 25 rows, okay? So we're going to go up 25 rows, and we're going to keep doing the same thing. Chain 1 at the end of our work at row, turn, and go right into our first half double with a half double. Now I am going to be changing colors, so I'm going to show you how I change colors after I complete this row. So come back in when I get to the end of this row, and I'll show you how I'm going to change to my next color. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of my row with only one stitch left to do, and this is where I'm going to change my color. So when you're ready to change colors, on the last stitch of the last of this color, you want to just go in and kind of make your half double, but you want to leave your 3 loops on your hook. All right, and I'm going to set this down with my 3 hoops on my hook, and I'm going to place my next color on my finger and on a loop. I'm now going to put my hook in there. I'm anchoring the string down with my finger behind. All right, take it off my finger, and I want to pull this through the 3 loops and finish off my half double with the other color. Okay, going to chain 1, turn my work. I can now cut my blue. I'm going to cut it a good amount so I could come back and weave in those ends when we're done. And now I begin with my new color, and I'm going to begin the same way, going into the first stitch and make a half double and continue making my half doubles. So I will carry on with this one. I know I'm going to do 3 rows of this color, so when I come back in with my next color, I'll demonstrate the changing of color again. Okay, so I have finished my 6th row, but I did not do the last one in that row, because again, this is where we're going to change our colors. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the last stitch, grab my yarn and pull up, and I have my 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to set this down for a moment, pick this up, I'm wrapping it around my finger, and as if I was making a knot, but I'm going to stick my finger in there so it doesn't close. And now I want to put this on my hook, and I'm going to pull this through. Chain 1, turn our work, and now when we begin, we'll be beginning with our new color right in the first stitch, and then we'll continue on with our half doubles. And this end, I'm gonna cut it, so we're done with that. So I have 25 rows total to get to before we start making the upper part. So I'm going to do my 25 rows changing my colors. I'm going to do my 25 rows changing my colors, and we'll meet there once we're all done. Okay, crochet fam, so I have finished my 25 rows to the sweater. Now this all is going to be the bottom portion of the sweater. If you wanted to make it longer, this is where you're going to add that space at. You're going to add more rows if you want it to be longer than this. But this is where we're going to pause. And as you see, I still have my yarn in this color attached because we're going to start going up some more, but we're going to have to break it into sections. Now we have our sides, and I'm calling this the side. This will fold over and become one of our front pieces, and this side will fold over and become the other portion of the front. So we're going to have to use stitch markers, and I just use pieces of yarn to mark off some sections from here. So we will work from here where I still have my yarn attached, and we will go 16 stitches over. And we will work those 16 stitches back and forth for 11 rows, okay? Now this section right here will become the armhole once we close our sweater off. And this right here we're not going to work in, and this is 4 stitches, okay? So our side piece, 16 stitches, where we'll be working back and forth for 11 rows. We will not be working over these 4 stitches right here, so we'll have to detach. And then we'll come here and we'll work over 40 stitches in the middle, okay? And we will not be working over these 4. This is the other armhole. So it will be 4 open stitches here. And then here to here we'll work 16 stitches. Okay, and everything we're going to work up 11 rows, but it's going to be in 3 parts. So we'll have a section here, a section here, and a section here. Okay, so I'm going to begin here and show you. I'm just going to use this color. I've been doing 3 rows for all my colors. I even brought in a new color because I wanted to continue to do 3 rows, so I needed more colors to finish it off. But I'm going to work back and forth here just for the 3 rows so I can show you how to cut off and then add on to another section. Okay, so to begin, so again, I left my yarn attached because my color was still going. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. So now I'm just going to continue like we have been going into the first stitch and making our rows of half doubles. But I will only go in 16 stitches. So I will have 16 half doubles. Now once I get to the 16th, and that's exactly where I have placed my mark, I'm going to stop, chain 1, and turn my work. I am now going to work back, starting with the first stitch, over these 16 half doubles and place 16 more half doubles. Now I'm not going to finish the last one because I'm going to change colors here. So I'm just going to cut it and leave this one undone so I can come back later and change colors. Now you see we work from here to here, 16 stitches. Now we're going to work this up 11 rows. Now I'll be changing colors during the 11 rows, so I want to just show you how to establish all these sections. So let's say we come over here to this section, and let me get that same color back. We'll take that same color and I'm going to add it on right here and start making my half doubles. And I will have 16 half doubles on this end as well. And my 16th one will be right there where my mark is. I'm going to chain one and turn my work here. And then I will create my third row for this color, my second row for all the 11 rows I have to do in this section. And this is my last one, which I'm going to leave unworked again so I can change my color there. Just going to cut that. Now the last section I need to cover, because we're going to leave this open. These get left open, so we're going to skip 4 here and 4 here. And I'm going to begin where my marker is. And I'm going to go down till I reach my other marker. And my last stitch will be right here where my marker is. Make sure I have my 4 unworked here. Now I'm going to chain one and turn my work. And I'll put another row of this color on. So I'm at my last stitch. I'm just going to go in and pull it up and cut off as much yarn as I need, because again I'll be changing colors on my next row. So let's look at this kind of open again. So even though we don't have the 11 rows here, you can see that this is going to be the dip for the arm right here. This is going to be the back area. And again, this is the dip for the arm and our front panel. And once we're done, this will be folded over like this, okay? But we have to finish building. So I'm going to start and go back to each one of my sections and build it up 11 rows. Build this up till I've reached 11 rows total. Build it up until I've reached 11 rows total. If you're doing the other size, then you are doing 12 rows. But I'm going to reach my amount of rows for all 3 sections. And then I'll come back in and I'll show you how to fold it over, okay? And close it off. Should have your unworked space. Okay, so I have now finished my whole entire piece with my 11 rows here, here, and here. So, and we see we have our little armholes right here. So this is the whole completed body of the piece. And make sure that the side you want on the outside is face up. This is the side that will be on my outside of my sweater. Now we just have to fold it. And there you see the front little arm slots. And now we just have to close it off at the top. So I want to take the color that I was last using, which is the lavender, and I'm going to close off my top. Now we have 16 half doubles here, so we want to connect 16 half doubles here with 16 half doubles on this side. Okay, so now I want to go through the first stitch here with the first stitch in the back. I'm going to add on my yarn, chain up one, and now I'm going to go back in there and make a single crochet, and I'm going to match up the front with the back and just make a single crochet. So I'm going in, match up the front with the back and make a single crochet. And when we get to the end, we'll cut and just pull this through. And now we have our first join, and it'll look like that. So now we want to do this side as well. In the same way. Now for this side, I want to turn it around here because I want to start from my corner and work my way in. So I'll go through the first one on this side and the first one here, and I'll close this off for my 16 half doubles, and then I'll cut my yarn just as we did on the other side. I'm going to pull that through. And now our sides, our tops are joined, and we can turn it on the correct side. Okay, so now we see all these little strings like this. I'm going to address this now. All the little strings like this. Now where you have stopped a color and began a color at the same point, I usually take these and tie them in a knot together, just like that, before I weave these in, okay? Because we want to weave these in before we do the border. So only when they're side by side, they're right next to each other, because we stopped one and began the other. Just want to simply tie it in a knot. Okay, so we'll weave all of these in before we do our border, but I want to show you our arm first. So let's look at one of the arms, and we'll begin to make our sleeves. So again, I want to take these 2 points, because they're right next to each other, tie it in a knot, and over here, Now come back and I'll weave those in later. Now, dealing with our arm, we have 4 open stitches right here. I want to go into one of them, okay? So I want to leave 2 on this side and have 2 on this side. I'm going to go into one on this side, okay? Now I'm going to start and kind of do a reverse of the colors that I've been using. So I'm going to start with this color, and then I'm going to work down all the way till I get to my blue. So we're going to add our yarn on. Chain 1, and then I'm going right back into that same stitch to make my half double. Now, all the way around this arm, we're going to make 33 half doubles. Okay, and the way I like to think of it, now you know this is our seam, I like to break my number in half because I started at the halfway point at the bottom, so I should be able to go around, and I'll do 16 stitches on one side and 17 on the other, which will give me my total of 33. So I'm just going to go around. We have our other stitch that was not worked in here, and we're just going to go all the way around. Now we don't have actual stitches here, right? So we're going to be working on the sides of stitches. So I already have 3, so you're just going to work on the sides of stitches. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now remember, we're creating our own path going around on the sides of the stitches. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16. And here's our join area right here, okay? So I did 16 on that side. Now I'm going to come back down and do 17. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now when you get here, and I'm at 14, so I'm looking at 2 stitches here. It'll be 15, 16, 17, okay? So I gotta make sure I make it 14, 15, 16. So I have 2 stitches left. I couldn't quite get my 17. Now I could take this half out and just space these out more, but I'm just going to make a decrease. So I'm gonna go in this one, grab my yarn and pull up. I'm going to go into the next one, grab my yarn and pull up, and now I'm going to yarn over and take all 4 loops off, so I have my 17. And now I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. stitch, chain 1, and now we'll be working back the way we just came. Okay, now that I have my 33, now what I want to do is work up a total of 3 rows. So this is our first row, and we're going to create 2 more rows just like this. So the way I like to do my sleeves is where I just slip stitched into, I'm going to go right back into that stitch, making this 1. Now because I went inside there, I'm not going into the next one. And this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 30, 31, 32. And now that I've made my 32 one, I'm going to start my 33rd, but I'm going to switch colors here. So I'm going to cut my yarn and bring in my next color. And I'm going to try to leave all of my yarn pieces in the inside. I'm going to add on my next color to finish the 33rd stitch here. And then I'm going to join to the top of our first stitch. Slip stitch in there. Pull all these down. And I want to leave all of that inside so it's not hanging on the outside. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn this around. Now again, we want to go into the same spot that we just slip stitched into and make our first half double. And then we'll be making half doubles all the way around one more time. Okay, so I have my last stitch right here. And again, I want to slip stitch into the top of the first half double we did. We'll chain 1. And we're going to turn our work. Now we want to do decreases, okay? We're going to decrease we're going to decrease 2 times on this row, the next row, and then we'll have a row of plain half doubles, and then we'll be decreasing again. So we'll do 2 decrease rows for this sleeve. So I'm going to show you how to establish your decrease rows. We're going to make our first half double right into our first stitch like we have been, and then we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to go into the next stitch. Okay, grab our yarn, pull up. We're going to go into very next stitch, grab our yarn, pull up, and we have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and take off all 4 loops, and then we'll just continue making our half doubles all the way around. Now that we've come to our last 2 stitches, we will decrease over those last 2 stitches. So we'll yarn over, go inside the first one, grab our yarn and pull up. Then we're going to go into the second one, grab our yarn and pull up. We have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to take off all 4. Slips. Now, that's how we're going to do our decrease, but I almost forgot, I'm changing colors here. So let's do this differently. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go into that first one, grab my yarn, pull up, and then I'm going to go into the next one, grab my yarn and pull up. So I have my 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to bring in my next color. In the same way that we have been doing when changing colors. Like I said, I want all of that to go inside. I'm going to put that on the hook and pull it through the 4 loops and slip stitch right in the beginning on the first stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work. So after our decrease row, we want to just make a row of half doubles. So I'm going to go inside where I slip stitched and make my first half double, and I just want to go all the way around placing half doubles. So we started with 33 stitches. We just decreased 2 times in one row, so this row should have 31 half doubles on it. Okay, again we'll slip stitch into the top of the first half double, chain 1 and turn our work. So we're working back the way we were just came. So this is going to be our last decrease row. We're going to yarn over, going into where we just slip stitched into and make our half double, and we're going to immediately start to decrease. So we're going to go through the next stitch, grab our yarn and come up, go through the next stitch, grab our yarn and come up. We have 4 loops on the hook. We're going to take off all 4 and we're going to go all the way around until we get to the last 2 stitches. Okay, so now we have our last 2 stitches right here. So we're going to yarn over, go inside one, grab our yarn, pull up, go inside the next one, grab our yarn, pull up, 4 loops on our hook. Now remember, I'm changing colors again, so I'm going to cut here and bring in my next color. I will finish off with that color, slip stitch into the first half double, chain 1 and turn my work. And now from here on out, we will just be doing half double rows. So you start where you slip stitched into, and we're just going to keep going around, and we're going to put about 23 rows here. Okay, now if you want your arm longer than that, then you can go further than that, but we will be putting a 3-row border on the bottom and double crochets. So you want to go longer, you can go longer if the child's arms are longer, but remember, we will be putting on a border that will be double crochets, and we'll do that probably about 3 times, but you can do it 2 if you found that you went further or don't need as much. So you're going to keep going around the same manner in which I showed you, but we will not be doing any more decrease rows. We finished with that, so we'll just be nothing but half doubles for 23 rows. Now, before I leave you with that, finish this arm, and we're going to finish this arm, and when I come back in, we're going to be working on the borders. So before I leave you, okay, yeah. So before I leave you, I want to show you how to weave in these in, so when we come back, we have a clean area where we can go ahead and put our border around. So remember, the colors that are right next to each other, and I mean right next to each other, we want to tie a knot. It secures it a little bit more before we do anything. Now I'm going to take a color, and I want to put it through my yarn needle, right? Now, whatever color this is where I want to work it, okay? So this is peach. So I want to work it with the peach. And all we want to do is, and I usually like to do it on the back side, so I'm going to turn this over. We're going to just weave it in. Now, we already got that knot there, so we know it's secure. But we want to hide in these tails. Just weaving it back and forth in one area. I like to pull it tight. And 3 times is good, but as many times as you would like, you know, so you feel comfortable. And that's it. And then once we're done with that, we can clip it off right at the base so it no longer shows. And you want to do that with each and every last one of these little ones. I'll save the backs of the arms for when I'm done, so I'll show you how to do that. That's why I say place everything in the inside, because when we flip it over, we see that. But you want to put down these before. All right, so we're going to finish both of our arms, and we're going to come back in with our border. Okay, so I'm bringing in this color buff, and I'm going to do my outline in buff. So it'll be around the bottoms, around the arms, and around the border for the inside. But I'm going to start with one of the arms. So we'll go ahead and do an arm, then we'll do the bottom, and then I'll show you how to go around the inside and make buttonholes if you choose to put buttons on your sweater. Okay, taking one of the sleeves, and again, I didn't weave in any of my arms, so I'm just going to tuck this in here. And I'm pretty much going to begin as we begin going back and forth for the rest of our sleeve, and add on my yarn there. Now, after I chain one, I'm going to go right back into this same space, and we're going to be doing our border in double crochets. So I'm going to go back in, grab my yarn, and come up, take off 2 loops, and then take off another 2 loops. Going to the next stitch, I'm going to go in, grab my yarn and pull up, take off 2 loops, and then take off another 2 loops. And I will continue around the whole sleeve until I get back to the beginning, just making double crochets. Okay, so I've come all the way around with my double crochets, and now I want to go in the top of the first double crochet that I've made, chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work. Now I'm going to be doing front and back posts. The border would look cute just with double crochets, so I could just do another row of double crochets, but I'm going to choose to do front and back posts which are double crochets that pull these previous ones forward or back. I want to start with a double crochet right into where we just slip stitched. And then I want to go take my yarn, wrap it around, and I want to go behind this double crochet, grab my yarn, and come back up, and then make a double crochet. Now I want to wrap my yarn around, and the next double crochet, I'm going to go in front of it. You see, this is front of it, just like this. Grab my yarn, come back up, and make a double crochet. And again, I'll show you when we wrap our yarn around. We're going to go behind this one, grab my yarn, and make a double crochet. And we're going to go behind this one, go behind it, grab our yarn, come back up, and make a double crochet. So we're going to alternate going all the way around until we get back to the beginning. Okay, so I've gone all the way around and I'm back at where I began, to the double crochet I began with, and I want to slip stitch right into the top of there, grab my yarn, pull it through. Okay, now I'm going to actually stop at 2 rows for the border here. If you need more or you want more on your border, you're simply going to chain 1, turn your work, begin into that double crochet that you just slip stitched into by making another double crochet. And now you're just going to maintain what you have. Front posts, the ones that are pushed forward, you're going to go behind them to keep them pushed forward. Okay, the ones that are pushed back, you're going to go in front of them to keep them pushed back. And you're going to alternate all the way around, just making sure you maintain with the pattern that you've already set on row 2. Okay, but again, 2 is enough for the arm that I need to make, so I'm gonna stop at 2. And when you're ready to stop, after you've slip stitched, we're just gonna cut our yarn, grab this and pull it through, and pull it down tight. Okay, and we'll weave that in. So now that we have finished the arms, I'll do the other arm later. I'm going to show you the bottom, okay? So we're going to do the bottom in the same way in which we just did the arm, as well as around. But I'm going to start it off so we can see where we're going. Now, I want to turn this over, okay? Because I want to start on the outside. And we're looking at the foundation chain that we placed on the bottom. And we're going to go through that first one right there. And we're going to add our yarn on. Chain 1. Now I'm going to go right back in that same space and make my first double crochet. And now I'm going to place double crochets all the way down where my foundation chain is. Okay, so we're going to go all the way down till we get to the opposite end. So I've gone all the way to the end, putting my double crochets in, and now I just want to chain 1 and turn my work. So now for this row, we want to begin placing a double crochet in the first double crochet. So the first and the last double crochet will get a double crochet standing on top of the first and the last one. Everything else we will alternate front and back. So yarning over, I'm going to go behind this double crochet and make my double crochet. And the next one, I'm going to go in front of it and make my double crochet. And the next one, I'm going to go behind it and make my double crochet. And the next one, I'm going to go in front of it. Grab my yarn, come back up and make my double crochet. So I'm going to do this all the way to the end, and the last one will be a standing double crochet. Okay, so I've gone all the way down doing my front and back posts, and this is how it looks. And remember, the last double crochet just gets a double crochet. Now I'm going to keep my border with 2 on it. So all I'm going to do is cut my yarn. If you would like more on your border, then you would just chain 1, turn your work. In the first double crochet, you're going to keep it a double crochet, and then you're just going to keep establishing your front and back posts to whichever is next, okay? Just like on the arm. All right, and now we're going to deal with the inside. Now I want to start, I'm going to start here, all right, and go up and around. Now if you want buttons, I'm going to show you how to make the buttonholes. If you don't want buttons, then when we're making buttonholes, you'll just be putting another row on. Either way, it's still the same amount of rows, unless you decide you want more or less. So I'm going to start right at the bottom. I'm bringing my border color. Chain 1, yarn over, and go right back into that same space and put a double crochet. Now, just in this area, we're working on the sides of stitches, so we just want to place the double crochets. I'd say about 4 of them. If your border is longer, then you just want to place them so they look together, not too far apart, and not sitting on each other. Now for the rest of the area, it's the same. We're working on the sides of stitches, and you're just gonna, no exact amount, you're just gonna place them all the way up and around. Fitting them in. Now we will be doing front and back posts around this as well, so you don't have to worry about them too much, but you don't want too much space in between them, and you don't want them to be too on top of each other. So kind of like this. All right, so I'm gonna go all the way up when I come to the neck, because we're gonna be doing something slightly different in this area. I will come back in and we'll go over it. Okay, so this is how it looks right now. And I have made it up to back where my neck is. Cross over on the other side of the join. This is the join area right here. Now once you get over here where the back of the neck is, we want to put 2, and these are stitches that are already there. We don't have to make our own path here. They're already there. These are the unworked stitches after we put down our shoulders. And we want to put 2 double crochets in those areas, because they tend to be a little bit larger. So that's what one looks like. So we're going to put 2 there, just in this area along the back of the neck. Two double crochets in one space. Okay, so that is the back of the neck with 2 there. And then we're going to turn our work and we're going to come back down this side. And we're just going to go back to placing our 1 double crochet as we go along down the bottom. Okay, so I have come all the way down and I've stopped right at the end. So now I want to chain 1. I'm going to turn my work around. And in that first double crochet, I'm going to place another double crochet. And now we'll begin our front and back post. So I'm going to go behind this first one, grab my yarn, pull it up, and make a double crochet. And I will go in front of the next one, grab my yarn, come back out, now I'm going to go behind this one and go in front of this one. And now we will carry this out, alternating all the way up and around back to this end. Okay, so I've come all the way down with my front and back posts. And remember, the last one will be a double crochet on its own. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work 1 more time. This is going to be the row. If you want buttons, we will now establish the places for our buttonholes. And if you do not want buttons, then you're just going to continue to do the front and back post, maintaining it for this row. So I'm going to start in the first stitch, making my double crochet. Now we will be maintaining our front and back posts through this whole button making row. Okay, so I like to count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I usually count 7 Okay, and then I begin my first buttonhole. Now I got to remember that this standing one counts, so it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and my first buttonhole will be here, and then every seventh double crochet on the eighth one, that's where we will leave the space for our buttonhole. So let me show you how that goes. So I'm gonna continue to make this one as a back post, and that's 1 front post, 2 back, 3 front, 4 back, 5 front, 6 and back, 7. Now instead of going around this one, I'm going to leave a chain 1 space, and then I'm going to skip over this one, and I'm going to go to the next one, which is a back post. Okay, so we put a chain 1 space to represent this space, which is the 8th double crochet, and that is our first buttonhole. Now I'm using 1-inch buttons. This is perfect for that. If some reason you're using really large buttons and your button will not fit through this space, then you can chain 2 and skip this one and the next one, and then begin again here to make space for your button. Okay, but this will be fine for my buttons with a nice fit, 1 chain space. So that's where my buttons will begin. If you want button lower down to start lower down, then you would just chain 1 where you want that button to be, and then go to the next stitch. All right, so if you don't like the idea of 7 and you want more space, you want it every 10, then you can do that. This is just how you establish it. Chain 1 and skip that space. That's where your button will be, and you move on to the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and count up to 7 more stitches, and then I'll make my next buttonhole. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Chain 1, skip this space, and move on to the next one. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Chain 1, skip this space, and go into the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, went past 7. Chain 1, skip this space, and on to the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, chain 1, skip this space, on to the next. So now that I've finished making my buttonholes, and again, you're going to do the buttonholes as many times as you want buttons. You don't want to go too high up to around the neck because it'll be choking that top one. We'll stop right here, and I'm just going to go all the way around, just keeping my pattern with my front and back posts. So we're going to do our front and back posts all the way here, double crochet in the last stitch, chain 1, turn our work, and then do our double crochet again, and then do our front and back posts all the way back here, right before we get to our buttonholes. So we'll complete that, go back around down here and come back again, and I'll start back off here to show you what we're going to do in our buttonholes for the last row. Okay, so I've gone all the way up and down and back up and around till I get back to my buttonholes. So I'm going to do my front and back post as normal until I get to where I skipped and chained 1 for my buttonholes. And where those buttonholes are, we just want to go inside and then place a double crochet. And then keep going on with your already established pattern until we get to another buttonhole. And when you get to another buttonhole, you're just gonna place a double crochet inside. Okay. And again, keep going down until you get to the next buttonhole. And here we are at another buttonhole. We're just going to go inside and place our double crochet. So you can see how the buttonholes come out. Just like that. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and do my buttonholes in the exact same way. Just placing a double crochet in there and keep going on. Okay, so I've come to the end, and the last stitch is going to be my double crochet. I'm going to cut my yarn here and pull that tight. All right, now when I'm ready to place my buttons, what I like to do is take little strands of yarns, stitch markers, whichever, and I like to make sure that it lays down nice and flat. And I'm watching where they're falling. As you see, they kind of fall right across from each other. So right here is where my buttonhole is. So that means my button should be here. And that way I can come back and place it on. And this one's here, this one's here, this one's here, this one's here. So that's right here. So my button is going to go here. And again, here, 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 and my buttonhole's here. So this one's going here. So that is how I make sure I'm getting my buttons in the right order so they lay nice with the buttonholes. Now, when I'm putting on my button, I want to be not on the last row that we did, but on the row before, on the same row as the buttonhole. So that's the third row. So I'm gonna place it right here, okay? So I'm not going to sew on the buttons. You're just going to use whatever color thread that you want to use, and your sewing needle, and just sew them on, back and forth throughout the holes until they fit like you want it to fit, nice and tight. So that is it. The only other thing, and I've already showed you how to weave in ends earlier, but I wanted to show you why I stated to put everything on the inside when you were working on your sleeve, because then when you go back to weaving all these ends, especially if you're like me and you changed 12 different colors, everything's right here, everything's right where you can grab it. And the same way I showed you before, the ones that are right next to each other, you see, right, coming from the same hole, I want to tie those in a knot. All of them right in a knot. And then weave them in their like colors. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, you can meet me in the comment section. I'm gonna go ahead and weave in these last ends and get my buttons all sewn up, and let's take a look at the final project. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This was super fast and fun. Absolutely love the wooden buttons and how they play out with the tan border. If you have any other questions, hit me in the comment section. Well, don't forget to like this video if you like this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe. So I'll see you guys next time on Age's Cozy Crochet Corner.